Are we okay? We got to fucking... We've got to do the fucking shit that we need for fucking drug abuse. No! No! Are you listening? Oh, you're gonna like this. You're really gonna fucking like this.
Sean here. Today we're going to be talking about the Shrek's offender, Mr. Lorne Armstrong, the scariest melted ice cream bald teacup pedo there's ever been. This is going to be sort of a freestyle video, and I had just done this video, got 8 minutes in, got a FaceTime call, and it aired out my video software, my video app, and I'm currently kind of ticked off. I'm not going to go full serial killer like we're going to be talking about today. But first, I want to tell you, I have a theory about I Loved Her First and why Lorne likes that song. Lorne's mom has never expressed love. I mean, the last words I told my mom when she was dying of cancer, I said, "Mom, do you know who I am?" And she said, "My son." And I said, "I love you, Mom." And she said, "I love you too." See, I had that moment. Lorne will never have that moment. A boy's first love is usually his mom. His first Valentine is his mom. Mom can fix your boo-boo when you get hurt. When you're scared, Mom is there. Now, as you get older, you're like, "Mom, you know, there are guys here. Don't hug me." But usually, a boy's first love is his mom, and Lorne has never had that. Yeah, I thought it was a bit of a pedo song at first. Lorne's never had true love. Maybe one day he'll find it. I don't know. But I think that's his obsession with that song. But that's not what we're talking about today. We're going to have a little bit of fun. We're going to talk about the types of serial killers and if he fits any of those categories. There are 4 types currently, the different types of categories. If you're FBI or whatever, you got hedonistic, you have your control/power, you have your mission-oriented, and you have your visionary. They're categorized that way. It's like their motivation for why they do what they do. So the hedonistic killer, it does for sexual gratification/money. A visionary killer, those are the type of people who believe God or their dog is telling them to do something for a specific purpose, for a higher power. Lunatics, those are the ones that you see in the movies because they're easiest to make caricatures out of. The dangerous part of this, if you're a profiler, which I am pretty damn good at profiling people. People walk in, I Sherlock them, I look at their shoes, everything else. I'm like, oh, I can tell she's been down at the Capitol because of the brick that's on it. Whatever. It's a hobby of mine, and I really enjoy it. But the point I'm making is, you can do that for, say, how someone looks and what they're carrying with them, and you can make deductions about it. But these serial killer types will overlap. And yeah, if I make mistakes with my wording, it's because this is more of a freestyle. I just wanted to have a discussion, really. Our brain is a supercomputer. And we're very complex. And it's hard to just take somebody and shoehorn them. Now you have Lorne, who's an absolute simpleton. An 87, who doesn't know anything about anything. And these catfish women allow him to just spit his verbal effluvia out there and expose himself as a moron, but that's neither here nor there. I just don't think Lorne would be the higher power killer unless Bud Light was talking to him. The 4 types of serial killers. I told you about the mission-oriented. Now these people they'll kill to get rid of certain groups. You know, you hear the word hate crime. Yeah, that fits in there. What you're talking about, like killing Southern Baptists, or maybe you kill Catholics, or you don't like a specific race, or you don't like the opposite sex. You don't like even the abortion clinic doctors, right? You know, people see that as domestic terrorism. But if you're killing specifically that group, boom, mission-oriented. The hedonistic, these are people that commit, it's for their own personal pleasure. And this would be sexual assault, torture, and money. I'm going to tell you right now. I'm going to tell you right now. BTK. That is a hedonistic killer. That guy was disturbing. If you've never heard his confession, I warn you now, it will chill you to the bone. Moving on. Power and control. You know what this is? It's this power fantasy. They want to dominate their victims. They want to see them squirm. They want to control them. They want them to beg. They want them to do everything that they say in exactly the manner that they say it. And then visionary. These are the people who think that something is telling them to kill. Some higher power. There's a higher purpose. And these guys are the likely suffering from psychosis. And as I said, they're the easiest to caricature. That's why they appear in the movies more often than not. Now, the hedonistic type of killer, you can break it down into thrill, lust, and comfort. There's somebody who kills because they think a person or entity is commanding them to do so. That's a visionary. And we'll talk about hedonistic in just a second. The visionary people are disorganized, and they're the ones I told you suffering from psychosis. They can't tell the difference between what's real and what's not. Sometimes hallucinations. They might hear voices that aren't real. Now listen, you see that in the movies a lot. This is not common, okay? It's not as common as you would think. Delusional beliefs that they have. These are the guys who think that whatever group maybe that they're targeting, maybe they're out to get them. You know, that can be mission-oriented, but maybe these people are out to get them. There's a movie called Frailty where he believes like there are demons and he's taking care of these demons. That would be something that fits into visionary serial killer. They don't specifically target their victims. They won't go out and pick them out. They won't stalk them. So these are the people that the cops are scared of because everything seems random. And when you have a random serial killer out there, not like Ted Bundy who had a type, right? If you had or the Night Stalker, that's a random dude. It's really scary because the cops have a hard time piecing it together. If they're not using the same thing, how can they possibly track, oh, well, they're using this specific kind of rope. We can go see who's purchased this kind of rope, and maybe we can use that to help us track them down. Now, Lorne does fit in here a little bit because these people don't cover up their crimes, and they won't even put any planning into the attack. Now, Lorne might plan. We saw what he did with Kayla, right? We saw how he did that whole, we're going to break up here and do that. And I also think that Lorne wouldn't cover it up unless they were a prisoner in his trailer. Lorne hates and loves NBC, loves the notoriety, loves the thought of people talking about him, getting that attention. Because if the catfish women stop, he's alone in his trailer. No voices, no nothing. He has nobody to talk to. Tony's gone. He has nobody to drink with. So the point I'm making is, unless they were a victim in his trailer, he would probably leave them out there. Number one, he's too lazy to clean them up. And number two, he would want to see his work in the papers or on TV. I'm not saying he's a serial killer, but he would definitely fit into that. I pulled this name out of an article because I recognized it. Herbert Mullen. He's a visionary serial killer. He killed 13 people between 72 and 73 as a blood sacrifice. He believed, according to him, that a massive earthquake would hit California if the earth didn't get its sacrifice. He said he heard voices in his head that warned him about the event, and that's what told him to kill. He had to kill. We're going to talk about mission-orientated. These are the people that kill to rid society of certain groups, ethnicities, religions, whatever. Sex workers. Occasionally you'll see targeting the LGBT community, but most often you've seen sex workers. Easy targets, easily forgotten. Some of them were trafficked. Their parents, their family don't even know where they are. I believe it was Gary Ridgway, the Green River Killer. He was proven to have killed 53, suspected of over 100. These are the people that absolutely won't stop until they're caught or killed by the cops. These people are not psychotic. They're not out of touch with reality. They don't suffer from delusions or hallucinations. They don't think God is commanding them to do this. This was Their decision and their decision only. These people are organized. They plan their crimes. These are the scary ones, the ones that live right next to you. You'd never even know it. You could be married to one. All of those women who, even the moms and the dads, they had no idea their son was a serial killer. There was one, forgive me, he was caught by his tire pattern. I can't remember, Ronnie something Barnes, I don't remember. But the point is, his wife found out and asked him, why did you do this? And he told her, so that I wouldn't do it to you. But he looked like your regular, average guy. Look at Ted Bundy, for God's sake, man. They call him charismatic killer, a handsome stranger. He's another guy you wouldn't suspect because he just doesn't look the part. But that's who these people are. They're just going to kill their victims. I don't even know if they get any enjoyment out of it or not, except for the satisfaction that they've taken another person out of a group from this earth. These killers, they won't get their hands dirty. It'll usually be a gun and not a knife or a rope or their own hands. They are a little more scary because revenge and hatred and obsession, they all go hand in hand with a mission-oriented serial killer. A mission-oriented serial killer will stick to their area most often. Lorne can't leave his state. There you go. Probably fits that little category of that. Now we're going to get to Lorne after I talk about these. So the thrill killers, the hedonistic killers, the ones who kill for pleasure, sex, money. These are the ones that are the BTK types in this world. So I told you the three subcategories are lust, thrill, and comfort. The lust killer will mutilate, sexually assault, and they get their own gratification from the kill. So sexual assault, torturing, and other things like mutilations to someone's body, that's what gives them pleasure. It's pretty sickening just to even talk about it. And so they fantasize about these crimes for years before they do it. Lorne probably fantasized a long time about having a 13-year-old virgin, because remember, he had real victims before this. So that is a deep-seated fantasy. Once these people kill, once a hedonistic serial killer decides they're going to commit their first murder, it can take him over. And a piece of him will become that killer. A piece of him will need that feeling at all times, and it will go back and relive it in his head. BTK took pictures of himself posed as a victim in women's clothing, I think, and they were disturbing photos. But he was definitely a hedonistic killer. Unlike the mission-orientated, these killers like to use their hands. They like to get up close and personal, a knife, a ligature. They're very, very violent, and they're impulsive. The times between their murders get shorter and shorter and shorter because the need becomes greater. The lust killer, despite the name, they won't have sex with their victims. So scratch that off. Usually they won't do anything sexual. They get off on the act that they're doing. Now the thrill killer, they get that rush, that adrenaline from killing people. A lot like fighters, the knockout, they get that feeling and they get addicted to it, which is why people like Ronda Rousey in MMA got a little trigger happy. Matt Hughes, they got a knockout in one fight, and all of a sudden they were chuckling out, and it came back to bite them. They get that high, and it's extremely pleasurable, that feeling, that drug that they get when they kill. This killer, on the inside, they don't feel adequate. They feel powerless. Who does that sound like? Now, I'm not saying he would be a thrill killer, Mr. Lorne Armstrong, but I'm just saying that these crimes help get rid of those feelings. This is a torture kind of killer. BTK, lust, thrill, But the thrill, it's very sadistic. They want to see them suffer. They want to inflict that kind of prolonged damage on their victims. A comfort killer, Lorne could possibly be this too. They kill for money or other types of material shit. These are the ones that might murder their spouses for the life insurance, kill their parents for inheritance. You get the point. I'm not going to dwell on it too much. Typically, these assholes will use things that can try to be covered up, like succinylcholine. Like you find out because it doesn't stay in your body long enough for them to detect it. However, if they get your urine and freeze it, they can detect it in there. Forensic Files. Next on Forensic Family, Lorne Armstrong. Poisons, whatever, it's just a means to an end. It's about financial gain for the most part. Now let's get to power control. Obviously, they want control and power over their victims. Feelings of inadequacy, powerlessness, and people who are afraid of rejection. Many of these people, these killers, were abused as kids. So dominating their victims, taking away their lives, gives them a feeling of power. So these are the calm, patient, meticulous, and they're usually organized. Now they might sexually assault their victim, but this is not done for sexual pleasure. As we said, control and power. They use it as a tool to dominate. I said that word before, but they want to dominate their victim. I'm taking you, you're mine. It takes away their choice, and that's what gets them off. These are people who take souvenirs, and the really sick ones will give those souvenirs to their wives or girlfriends, or if it's a woman, give it to their men. A memento that they can now give to the spouse that they're with or the partner, and watch them wear it around. And now they get the joy of, like, not only did I take that from you, but I gave it to someone that's in my life, and I can watch them wear it around. That is disturbing. I know that was a lot to pack in, but we're talking about Lorne. So what kind of killer do I think Lorne would be? I'm sure there are some people who don't think he could be a killer, that he's possibly too dumb or too lazy. And he made a statement, I couldn't even kill a fucking deer. Well, Lorne, you had no emotional connection to the deer. The deer didn't try to leave you. It didn't take its clothes off. And when you took your clothes off, it saw your little crooked, broken dick and started laughing at you and ran away. Because if that's happened in his past, or say Kayla or Winnie or one of these women he desperately wanted to love, he took his pants off and they just laughed at it. Which is why I fear sometimes that Lorne doesn't have sex, hasn't had sex. Maybe if he wasn't addicted to the honeymoon phase with obsessive love disorder. In some ways, I think he could be a power control killer. You will never leave me. You're mine. You're gonna stay with me. I can't let you go. He might keep him in a garden or something in that Cornville hell that he lives in, so that he can keep them. Go out every day and see, you didn't leave me. You can't leave me. Now, Lorne, I could see the sexual assault. If a man was frustrated enough, if he wasn't getting any, he couldn't get any on his own. These catfish women never show up. He eventually snaps, and he goes out, and he decides he's gonna take what he wants. We know, I'll be honest with you, I think Lorne would sexually assault a woman and assume it was, she had some gratification out of it, that she possibly enjoyed it, and Lorne might even ask her out. You think I'm kidding, but I'm not. I'm not. I think he might think there was some kind of attachment there. He's the kind of idiot that would get in the car and talking about dropping her off and can I see you next Tuesday? I know you think I'm kidding, but I am not. Because if the woman played him, he would go along with it. But then again, if it was an unpleasant sexual experience for Lorne, she's dead. That's if he would go that far. Okay, we're just having a discussion here, a brief bit of sick fun, I guess you would say. He's not like a Ted Bundy, like a lust serial killer. Ted's more than that, control everything else. But what I'm saying is he doesn't go back and do like necrophilia kind of crap. I don't think Lorne would do that. I think if the body stayed warm long enough, he might do that out of desperation. But I don't know. It's sick to think about it. And Lorne makes me sick as an individual anyway. I don't know if he would ever shoot somebody. I think it would be with his hands. Do you remember when he talked about shoving a knife down somebody's throat? I know it doesn't seem like much, and I keep saying I know, but that's a psychotic to even think that you would take a knife and jam it down somebody's throat. That's not what the normal person says. So I do think Lorne has a little bit of psychosis. I do, but I also think it could be just because he's dumb. I don't think Lorne would mutilate the body. I'm not sure he would torture them. I don't think he's a lust killer, really. I don't think he's gonna pick out his targets. Although, remember that one lady who looked at me, so-and-so from Circle K and Walmart, and so-and-so, and so-and-so, paper or plastic, oh, she likes me. Lorne may think that kidnapping these women, getting them in the car, that's all he needs to do, and they're going to see how much they love him, because in his head, a lot of these serial killers, the ones that choose their victims, they are obsessive, and Lorne is impulsive as well, and he could assume that there's some kind of connection there, and all he has to do is get that person there, and they'll instantly love him. Kayla, I might have enough gas, but I know when you get to my trailer, you're going to fall in love with me, and we won't even need gas to get back to Bowling Green. God forbid Lorne Armstrong ever killed somebody and that feeling got him off. Or he actually had a chance to have sex and realized he couldn't perform, but the act of killing gave him the pleasure that he was missing, because that's addictive, and that would become his outlet. I don't think he's a thrill killer. I don't think he's a hunter-seeker. I don't think he would stalk his victim and terrorize them. Although some of the things he does to these women is really abusive, and I guess you could call it terrorizing, calling, leaving all those crazy messages, non-stop calling, accusations, and everything. They probably do feel traumatized in some way, but I just don't think in real life, would he do that? Probably not. Mission-orientated? Maybe. Get that son of a bitch out of our lives. I'm not sure if he thought he had a connection with these women. If he saw women that he liked, I'm just freestyling here, and he saw the men that were with those women that he liked, he might go after those men. Now remember, mission orientated, they don't like to get up close, use their hands. Lorne would probably use a gun. I don't think he would try to, because he's a wimp, first of all. But say he somehow decided those women liked him, he had to get rid of the competition. Or the sex workers, because he's always talking about slut, you're a slut, a whore, you gun-hole bitch, we're broken up. I don't know, his rage against women, the type, maybe Paula, whoever he thought wronged him, maybe that profile fit him, like Ted Bundy. When his girlfriend broke up with him, the high society girlfriend, a lot of his victims look like her. So maybe Lorne would kill a bunch of women that look like Paula. I don't know. Or women that were named Amanda. Last name James, maybe, even that. It's very difficult to predict with Lorne because he's got some major rage issues, which is like thrill or other types of rage monster killers. I've often wondered if his mom died and he had no source of income, if he wouldn't just find it easy to start stealing again. Lorne seems like the guy who would create a fake business, and in his head this would be a genius move, and go try to rip people off again that way. Would he actually walk into somebody's house and kill them? I don't know, because it's Lorne. And if it's easy, he might do it. So if he goes in, bam, bam, takes their money, gets whatever he wants, look out. That was easy. I can go do it again. But again, the killer who wants the notoriety, the killer who wants everybody to be talking about him and wants that notoriety. Lorne would go to prison and absolutely love the fact that everybody knew who he was. He'll never be famous in any other way than being a TCAT pedo. He just won't. And I know this video is really long, but I wanted to talk about it. I've thought, would Lorne actually be a serial killer? I've looked at these, I've studied them. I have no idea. Like the mission orientated, they stay to their specific area. And then the power and control, and Lorne feels inadequate and powerless, and he knows sexually he's just not going to be a tour de force. And he knows he's lacking. I mean, all these catfish women have told him about his little broken dick. And he's jealous of anything with a penis. That may not be a lot to you, because most of us, we don't think that way, but Lorne does. Do I think one day he might snap? I still think that if Lorne gets alone with a younger girl, he will. I don't think he'll kill anybody, but I think if that younger girl wanders in there, he does what he's going to do, and she's angry or upset, and she's going to tell, maybe he would. But anyway, I know I didn't mean to get too serious here, but I wanted to talk about the types of serial killers and whether or not I think Lorne could be one. Do I? No. Do I think he's untreated and dangerous? Yes. And it would be murder in a sexual gratification manner. I think in my head, that's what I see him doing. That's just my opinion. I know, it was long. I love you guys. Please like, subscribe, and share. I'll talk to you in the next one.